Hello everyone, we are back today recording on TLT just a couple hours after it's come out and had a bit of spare time, so I thought I might just go over how my overall team's going at the moment and just what my feelings are about all my players. Thought it may be of interest to some people, so yeah, I'll just do that and we'll crack on. So currently ranked 2,555th. And if we come over here to this graph, this is my team, elite defeat, and my peak rank was in round 4. I got up to 941st overall, and then had a few drops down into the sort of 2,000 zone. Last week climbed about 100 ranks, so slowly climbing back up into a place where I want to be. Scored a 990, I think it was. Very slow today, as usual. 990, so almost that 1,000 mark. I think players letting me down was obviously Hubner, but I can't say he did let me down because he was actually flying until he got Category 1 HIA'd, or he failed his HIA at least, and then Katoga and Stafford Tower as well, just in the Monday game. We're a bit quiet, unfortunately, but apart from that, I think my team's looking pretty good. Obviously, would be wanting a bit better scores from Ponga, but wing fullback's been pretty hard to get right so far in this season. But going into round 8, I've got Mamazelis as my only hooker. He's been my only hooker for about a month now, and I haven't actually been worried about that at all, really. He's been really reliable, either scoring in the mid-30s or mid-50s, and he's been playing 80 minutes. So for the time being, I'm going to be keeping him here. It would have been nice to have Connor Watson, but they do have a bye coming up in round 10, so he's a guy that I will definitely be looking at getting possibly after round 10 if he doesn't get named for Origin. But not too worried about the hooker position at the moment. Mamazelis has been named, and it's happy days in that spot. Toby Couchman, second week in my team now, and man, I'm so glad I brought him in. I was a little bit skeptical about what kind of minutes he was going to get, but the Dragons had a few injuries the past couple of weeks, just like the first couple of rounds in the season as well, and he has been the big beneficiary of that. At 66 minutes this week, 81 points, and that's mostly all in base. He did get a nice line break as well, but man, he's really exceeding my expectations and currently averaging 64.2, which is absolutely ridiculous, really. But going forward, I'm sort of expecting him to come back to like a 50-minute role probably, especially that now that Emre Gula's come back onto the bench for the Dragons this week, so he may lose a few upside minutes there, but I'm definitely not worried at all. I'm going to be holding him as long as I can until he shows us a reason that we'd want to sell him, but I feel like he's putting up extremely good keeper numbers at the moment. Likewise for Terrell May, scored a try this week. He was my captain, played the full 80 minutes, and an 86. It's amazing scores, really. I think he's the highest averaging player in the game right now, 74.9. It's just unreal numbers. He's basically doing what Payne Haas did when he came into the competition, and he was playing 80 minutes most weeks, and it's just, he's just a machine. He doesn't even look tired. He just goes and goes and goes, and always is looking for those offloads. So in terms of captaincy this week, it's going to be a three-way race between Cleary, Haas and May again. Early days, I feel like I'm probably going to keep it on May, but the thing in the back of my mind would be that he's backing up just playing 80 minutes. I think he played 70 the week before. Is this possibly a week where the Sharks could blow them away? And if the game's sort of done with 20 minutes to go, he could get taken off after 60 minutes. And, you've got a guy like Payne Haas, top of the table kind of clash. He could be playing, upwards of 60 minutes, could be really up for this one. And then you've got Cleary backing up off after a 93 against a Manly team with Tom Trbojevic back, so it's going to be a battle of a game. It's actually going to be a really hard decision to make, but exciting as well, because I think it's much more enjoyable to have this decision to make, where instead of just leaving your captaincy on one player. But Payne Haas, his highest score of 73 since I bought him in a couple of rounds ago, so that was nice. So he's sort of almost going to stop losing money now if he puts up another 70-odd score. And yeah, I'm not really too worried about him. Obviously, the 42 a couple of weeks ago wasn't good, but once you buy him into your team, you sort of just have to leave it there. There's no point selling him. Like, you're going to want him for the rest of the season, regardless of what he does. So I think you just got to enjoy the big games from Haas. Jacob Preston, so I bought him in this week. I sold Jermaine Hopgood. I actually made 3 trades this week. So yeah, Preston came in. He got a try. I was really pleased with that. And originally I was going to get David Fafita, but obviously he got ruled out with a hamstring injury. And then my next best choice was Preston, for the fact that his only remaining buys around 13 and 16, which are minor buy rounds where we'll only have to field 13 players, and I don't have too many other players that are on a buy at that time. So I think his buy round coverage is really good, and I am quite keen on getting a few more Bulldogs into my side in the near future, I'd say. But yeah, 69 with a try, very impressed. That would have been mid-50s without the try, and going forward, I'm hoping for like a 56-point average from him, about there. Dylan Egan was a late change to start again here. He didn't play the 80, but probably wasn't expecting him to. I think going forward, I'm expecting anything between like 40 and 65 minutes from him probably. But he had a really good game as well, 51 points. He's averaging 54.5. He's still going to make a shitload of money, and I mean, in terms of starting him going forward, they play in the second game of the round, so we can probably just wait. And then if he is a late starter again, I'd definitely start him. If he is starting off the bench, he'd be one I'd possibly consider looping, although the Roosters also play at that time, and I'd probably want to loop someone like Toya or Savala. So Egan's a guy where it does seem like he's going to get upwards of sort of 45 minutes a week, so I think I probably would sway towards continuing to start him in my 17. Nathan Cleary, back to normality for him, his highest score of the season by a lot, and now he has officially bottomed out, and his price is going to probably rocket straight back up to the high 800s at the very least, I would say. So if you don't own him, I think this week is the perfect week to be jumping on, even though they do have a bye in round 11. He will play Origin. If he doesn't play Origin, he will be injured, so I think his ceiling's too high to not own, and especially at this price, I don't think you're going to get him any cheaper than this at all during the season. And if he puts up another 93 and your opponents in head-to-heads have him, you're going to be left in the dust. So yeah, Cleary is one that should be owned by a lot of people, I'd say. My second trade in this week was Jamal Fogarty, so I was tossing and turning between Matt Burton and Fogarty and Fletcher Sharp, and I picked Fogarty. I think I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm still looking at those other two, but Matt Burton doesn't have the goal kicking. But in his game he did score 54, and he could potentially have scored more. But I guess without the goal kicking, that does dent his sort of potential average numbers a bit, so I'm a little bit put off by that, but I wonder maybe if he will go back to goal kicking, but I definitely want to see it or hear that it's going to happen first. But Fogarty, solid as ever, 57 points, and I'm pretty happy with that. I was hoping that he would average sort of between 55 and 58 going forward. I see him as a season-long keeper, and yeah, he's a guy that obviously won't play Origin. He does have 3 buys remaining, but nothing until round 15. So he's a guy I'm going to be looking to start every week up until then. Stafford Toa, just the 28 this week. I think I was saying it for a while. People were still bringing him in, and I was just sort of thought he's absolutely due for a low game. And it came here, but 28 as a floor is not too bad at all. And he's a guy that's definitely not a rush to sell, but with a break-even of 32, his money making is definitely going to slow down. 512k now, he's made a really nice amount of money, and he's a guy that you can definitely hold for a bit longer. But if you do need to move him on for someone, if there's someone else you want to buy, then I'd probably be fine with that. They do have the buy in round 12 as well, which if you're playing overall, then it's another reason why you don't really need him for that week. But I still, they're playing the Sharks. I think he can definitely put up like a mid-30s against them. He still put up 2 offloads to hand in this game, and just it was a bit quiet down the Tigers' right-hand side, so I just think, definitely not an urgent sell, and I wouldn't be too upset about that 28 either. Robert Toya got his first try this season, 41 here, coming up against the Dragons. So the Dragons are actually in some decent form, but the Roosters, Dragons, Anzac Day clash always brings some excitement. So I think there could be definite opportunities for Robert Toya, and with a break-even of 26, averaging 39, definitely one to hold on to, especially the fact that he plays in round 12, and he does have the bye coming up in round 10, so if you do have a lot of Roosters, just that's something to be mindful of. I've obviously got 3, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to survive in round 10 with 3 red dots and hopefully 18 green dots, but we'll just have to see. Deal with it when it comes. I'll definitely be holding him up until round 10 at the very minimum. And yeah, I mean, same case with Stafford Toa. He's averaging 45, break-in of 32. Logic says you probably would be absolutely fine to hold, but I think 45 is a bit of an unrealistic expectation from Stafford, whereas 39 is probably on the money with what you're going to get from Toya. But yeah, both guys, ones I'm definitely not too confident in starting in my centres each week. May have to do it this week, although I'm probably going to look at bringing in a wing fullback and moving Garrick up. But obviously Garrick's not going to be... He can still go low, as we've seen here. He scored a 32 this week. Played on the Thursday, I think. Feels like it was ages ago. Coming up against Penrith away, so not the best matchup. But, Penrith still have lost 5 games this season. Manly have Tom Trbojevic back, so they could be firing on all cylinders again. I wouldn't be too worried about this break-even of 67. Garrick's putting up an average of just over 50. I think he's just a guy that you keep him. You don't really worry about his price. And if you want to buy him, then I'd be sort of waiting until he gets closer to that 600k mark or just high 500ks. But easily starting him every week. And ideally, I want to have him moved into my centre spot, so that I can bench one of these 2 guys here. Although Ponga arguably is a guy that should be in the benching conversation. He just looks so out of touch at the moment. The Knights aren't looking too good. Definitely got outshone by Fletcher Sharp and Greg Marju and a couple of other players. And I just think maybe it's like a combinations thing. They're not really flowing as well as they'd like to. But coming into the Warriors this week in Christchurch, big occasion on Anzac Day. I don't know, I just have to... I've already copped so many price drops from Ponga, I have to stick with him here. Break even of 75, he's always capable of hitting that, but obviously not very confident about that happening. But I don't know, I feel like we may have been through the worst of it now. I'm really hoping so, but... And it now with the Reece Walsh injury, it's looking quite likely that Ponga is going to be playing Origin. But I just don't think now's the right time to be selling. If you sell him now, you're locking in a loss. And I think, if Campbell was healthy, if Katoga was playing, if Hudner was fine, then maybe I'd look to move him on. But I have other trade plans on my mind this week, and I'm going to be holding Ponga and starting him because as good as the Warriors have been, I know how inconsistent they can be, and if anyone's going to play them into form, it's going to be the Warriors. But even though it doesn't seem like it this year. On to Tamale. So he was actually pretty heavily sold this week. The thought never really crossed my mind, as I really like that dual position, and I still thought he was definitely not. I thought he was going to hold his price, but he's put up a 55 here. He scored a try, had a pretty solid game, in a Canberra win. I think they won. Don't want to get that wrong. Yeah, they beat the Titans. So he's a guy that I'm maybe slightly more confident in starting over these two, but it's really borderline. I mean, that he's averaging basically the same as Toya. Stafford's obviously averaging more, but he has scored a lot of tries. But coming up against the Dolphins, the Dolphins are coming off a few good wins as well, notably against the Storm. So it's going to be a hard game, but one I'm definitely holding, and break-even of 21. He's still got some money to make now, which is nice. Hopefully he doesn't drop another 20, but yeah, it's going to be a tough decision which one of these guys to start, that's for sure. But I think with Katonga, I can probably do a centre loop. Maybe on Thursday I can, once I've decided what I'm actually doing, I can set up a little centre loop and make a video explaining it. I'll move on to the bench here. So Nafahu White was the benefactor once again of his teammates getting injured in the forward pack. So Nat Butcher's gone down, and he's going to be out for a while, I believe. And Nafahu White played bulk minutes here, scored 58. So yeah, he's chugging along really well, still making a bit of money, almost sort of hit the peak, but I said last week he's one I'm definitely looking to hold right through the origin period, and that hasn't changed. I'm really happy with him, and I'll be continuing to start him in my team. The duel is also really good. Corey Horsburgh only played 48 minutes, but still managed to score a 54, so very happy with that. I really wish he could have got a few extra minutes, because he looked like he was in a mood. He was making nice sort of crab runs, so real good fantasy wise stuff there. And his PPM's been pretty good this year, and going to be without a doubt continuing to start him in my team. Not looking to sell at all. And my third and final trade this week, I bought in Hugo Savala. I traded out Sandon Smith. I'll go over my trades who I sold in a bit, but yeah, Savala jumped on at 230k with knowing that he wasn't going to make money this week, but now going into next round, his break-even's 13, and he should start making money now, which is great. I just needed to bring him in that week early, just to enable the money to afford my other trades. So yeah, I think he can be a mid-30s guy, and that means he'll easily make it up into the 400k sort of range, and that's absolutely perfect. And I did have to start him this week. He's going to be a guy that I'm definitely not confident in starting every week, but I think just with his kick meters base and probably like 20 tackles a game, I think I'd maybe want to start him over the centres and wing fullbacks dilemma. But just the fact that he's always a chance of getting a try assist or something like that. So yeah, I think I'll be doing that with him. That'd be my plan. Tom Gilbert, yes, I still own Tom Gilbert. I messed up on Friday. I accidentally sold Alex Seyfarth instead of Tom Gilbert. Cost me about probably 10 to 20k, but it is what it is. And I think I'm definitely going to be selling him this week, because he once again didn't play the 80 minutes and just doesn't seem like a fantasy relevant player when he's playing out on the edge. So yeah, I think I've had enough of him, and he can go. On to Hubner. So 23 points. He only played about the first 20 minutes. He was tackling his ass off and then got a head knock and failed the HIA. So tough one to take. I was really wanting to loop him, but then I just sort of thought, okay, I can start him and then loop like 2 of my centres instead. But unfortunately that didn't work out, but probably wouldn't have lost out on too many points. He's going to be out for this week, but should be back next week, although he has... he missed time before because of suspension, not because of head knock, so he shouldn't be any sort of extended concussion risk, I would say. So yeah, I'll be looking to use him as a looper this week. I'll probably have Hubner as like a slot 5 looper, and then I'll be using Katoga as a double centre looper. And definitely going to hold him. His break even's 26. I still think he can make maybe about another 50k. And yeah, no harm in holding him, I'd say. But he's one, I think, at this point, if there's someone you need to sell, you probably can get off him. But yeah, it's just that 50k. I don't think there's too many screaming sort of cash cow buys at the moment. Jaden Campbell, so unfortunately we found out that he's going to be out for at least a month with syndesmosis, and we found out about 3 or 4 hours after the Titans game kicked off on Sunday, which was really frustrating because I definitely had plans to move him on right away if we did get that news, but I decided to hold on the off chance that he was going to be out for only 2 to 3 weeks because he's such a valuable gun that I really wanted to hold him. But he's a sell, unfortunately, and yeah, he's going to be leaving my team this week, sadly. Tom Jenkins, just the 20 points this week. This can happen with wingers, and we saw it with Tamale the week before. Still averaging 33.6, break even of 28. His money making is definitely taken a bit of a hit, but all it'll take is a strong game where he picks up a try or two, drops a 40 or 50, and I think he's still got maybe 50 to 70k left in him, so I'll definitely think I'll be holding him. And then Katoga had an absolute stinker, just a 16-pointer, playing 80 minutes on the edge. That is one of the worst edge scores I've ever seen, but it sounds like, well, he should move back to the right edge with Tuolangi being suspended, and he'll be playing next to Mitch Moses, who should be giving him some decent ball where he can actually make some nice runs and pick up some tackle breaks and offloads, because he did none of that on Monday, which was really frustrating. But you have to take the good with the bad, I guess. He scored a 57 the week before. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Obviously my bench and stuff isn't organised properly at the moment. But these are the trades I'm looking at. So Campbell and Gilbert will be going, and I'm sort of got my head or one eye looking at round 12. So basically for my forward pack, Mamazalis, Haas, May, Couchman, all going to be out. I'll have Preston playing. Egan will be out. Claire will be out. I've got Fogarty. I have Toya, Tamale. Ponga will most likely be out. Garrick will play. White will play in my mids. I'm hoping Horsburgh will play, but I feel like he's probably going to be playing Origin. Savala will be available. I'm not too sure if I will start him next to Fogarty, but there's a good chance of it. Hubner will be out. Jenkins will be available, so I may be able to start him, and Katoga will also be available, so I might be able to chuck him in an edge spot. So I'm looking like I've only got one mid at the moment. So I definitely need to think about mids. So there's obviously Max King, who I really wish he didn't score a try last week because he's quite expensive now. There's also Tarpany, who is also really expensive. One guy I'd really like to get is Connor Watson if he doesn't get picked for Origin. And then you're coming down to guys maybe like Lindsay Smith, but I just feel like he's really priced at what he's going to be scoring. There's no value there at all. Fanua Blake, we saw him get 44 with a try this week. Just not really getting the minutes. Same as McInnes. I just don't really want to be jumping on them just yet. But if they do drop another 50k, then I think I could be quite interested in them. So I'm kind of thinking at the moment that I just want to maybe wait on mids and just focus on other positions at the moment. There's also Aaron Clark, but I don't know. He did get a lot of minutes last game, but could be just because he was playing really well. I don't know if he's going to be able to play 60 minutes a week for us. Fisher Harris will be back in 3 to 4 weeks, so yeah, there's no one screaming out to me in the mids. So currently my thinking is to bring in Scott Drinkwater, who I really like, as he's got the goal kicking for the Cowboys. He actually doesn't play in round 12, but his only buys in round 12, and then his last one's in round 27. So yeah, he's a guy that is going to be playing a lot of games. I don't think he'll make Origin, and we've seen that he can average 50 points on average without goal kicking. So if you add on like 5 or 6 points in goal kicking, that's 56. And he priced at 630k. I think there's definitely some value in him there. And then the other player that I've really liked the look of recently is Fletcher Sharp, and additional to the fact that he has the wing fullback half dual, which is actually really handy. He's almost the top scoring wing fullback at the moment, almost the top scoring half as well. So yeah, he's looked really good for Newcastle, and I think the difference between him and Ponga is even if they have a bad game, he's been making a lot of tackles, like 20 to 25 tackles a game. He's always looking to get his hands on the ball. He's a bit of a ball hog, so he'll just go for runs himself. And yeah, I've been really impressed with that. I think even at this expensive price, I think I view him as a keeper. He's been putting up keeper numbers, so yeah, that's what I'm looking at the moment. He obviously does play around 12, so that will definitely have me in the sort of right zone where I only probably need like a hooker, maybe another couple of mids, and should have a full squad for round 12, and then round 13 obviously I should be fine because I'll just have Preston out, I think. I can't remember who else is on the 13 bye. I have to look into that, but yep, that's me. Yeah, really hoping I can make a move this week and make a move back into the top 1,000. Trades are looking a bit low. I think I've only banked 3 so far, so yeah, using 2 more this week, it's not ideal, but I think I need to definitely move on Campbell, as he's so expensive, and there's not really any point having him sit there any longer. And Tom Gilbert's going to be losing money, I think, and yeah, I'm just sick of him. So yeah, that'll do it for that one. Hopefully you found that a bit useful, and yeah, catch you in the next one.